question come through the other day about freedom. And the question was something around, I've traveled around the world. I've stayed at home and had 5 different jobs. Everything I do makes me feel trapped. Everything I change doesn't give me the freedom that I want. What is freedom and how do I go about getting it? And this is the answer. The problem is not so much the environment that we're in. It's the story that we tell ourselves about our environment. So let's say that I'm stuck. I'm stuck in a job that I hate, and I'm stuck in a relationship that I hate, and I'm unhappy and I'm dissatisfied. And I think to myself, I'll tell you what, I'm going to go and travel the world. And I pack up my bags and I go and travel the world. And I get to these amazing destinations and I'm having this amazing, potentially amazing experience. But there's still something inside of me that still feels unsatisfied, unfulfilled. There's something missing. And all of this travel just hasn't fulfilled that part of me that's missing. So I pack up my stuff and I come back home and I start up a business, because I think to myself, if I start this business, then I'll feel like I'm satisfied, like I'm achieving something, like I'm proving myself, like I'm finding success. That's what I need. So I start a business. And at some point I realize it's not doing the job. I still feel unsatisfied. I feel like there's something missing. So I start something new. And it could be anything. I start drinking or drugging. I start a new relationship. I have children. Whatever. I do one of those life things that supposedly somehow is going to give me that feeling that I want, that's missing for me. And I get to that place and still I feel unsatisfied. If you've ever had this experience, then you must know that there's something going on here, and all of that chasing around after something else, it's just not doing the trick. It's not satisfying that empty space that sits inside of us. And that is because we're looking in the wrong place. You see, freedom of mind, a sense of enoughness or well-being or satisfaction, or the filling of a hole inside of ourselves cannot be done from the outside in. The only thing that can be done from the outside in is that we get to have this adventure. We get to have this occupation that fills our time and our mind and has some excitement value and has some interest value and has some numbing value and has some occupational value. But it can't fill the hole that sits inside of us if we have one. So how do we fill that hole? Well, the first thing is to recognize where that hole comes from. And where it comes from is that sense of ourselves that something is missing. And that sense of ourselves that something is missing comes normally right back from our early childhood. It could come from a lack of connection or attachment to a parent or an adult. And honestly, it really doesn't matter how good your parents were or how amazing they were, we can still have an experience of a lack of attachment to people. And most of us do at some point feel that lack, that sense of ourselves that we're not really enough or lovable or haven't got the love we need. That's a lack of attachment that we've been trying to get since we were very, very young children. And the second thing is that sense of ourselves that it's okay for us to be ourselves, to authentically express ourselves, and that it's safe and that we can do that and still get the love and the attachment that we need. And so in order to have absolute freedom, in order to have that full sense of ourselves that cannot be fulfilled by the life changes and the money and the travel and the girlfriends and the drugs and the boyfriends and the cars and the houses and the children, and it cannot be changed by that. We have to find that thing that is missing in our emotional landscape. And when we find that thing, we have to give it to ourselves. And here's what's interesting. It's not that hard to find. Because if all we do is identify the emotion that we feel in the moment, when we get that feeling of something's missing, if we could just drill down that emotion, we would know what the feeling is. And then we could soothe that inner child and give ourselves that feeling. And we're the only one who can do it.